Fire Emblem has had a long-honored history of high-quality axe dads. The Wall of Thracia Hannibal and his adopted son Corpri, Dagdar, the Bi-Bear icon, and his daughter Tanya, Ross's dad, father of Garcia's son. But there was one dad with an axe that dared to ask, what if I was a terrible father? What if I made things worse for my daughter instead of better? I am, of course, talking about Dice from BSFE. But no one gives a shit about BSFE, so we're gonna do Gilbert. Now, Gilbert has quite a rep in the Three Houses community for being a shit dad. Anytime he's mentioned anywhere, it is in a distinctly negative light. And to those naysayers, I do declare, yeah, you're right. I'm completely right. He is a terrible dad. But that's the entire point to his character. Gilbert highlights a very strong case of survivor's guilt, which leads him to think and act foolishly. Now, I know what you've heard before. This character actually has this mental disorder that makes their actions totally justifiable, and therefore you're wrong for hating them. Fuck. So, I will admit, I am not a psychiatrist. I don't know how the brain works. I know very little on how mental disorders work. So if I misrepresent survivor's guilt here, I do apologize. But if you don't want to say Gilbert has survivor's guilt, let's just say, he has strong feelings of guilt over surviving an event in which other people close to him did not survive. That work? Yeah, that works. Okay, good, nice. So with all this talk about surviving, what does Gilbert actually survive? Well, if you play Blue Lions, it's an event no one shuts the fuck up about. The tragedy of Dusker, the event in which Dimitri's father, Lambert, was killed. Gilbert was away from the king at that time, and by the time he learned the king was under attack, Lambert had already committed father of a FE lord syndrome. Blaming himself for not being there when his king needed him most, Gilbert went into a self-imposed exile, abandoning his young daughter and wife, only returning to Garrick Mach as a knight of the church, not of Fargus. So, okay, we've established Gilbert's backstory, but what about his front story? Do his actions in the present make up for his actions in the past? Well, in my eyes, yes. Gilbert has only 9 supports, the fewest in the game before Jaritza came along, but this is about quality, not quantity. Of the 9, I want to start with his support with Hahnemann, as within it lies a quote that's truly at the heart of Gilbert's character.
The support starts innocently enough, with Hahnemann observing Gilbert's training regimen. Hahnemann attempts to strike up a conversation with Gilbert, remarking that his overly stern attitude seems to feel less natural and more as though he's punishing himself on purpose. Gilbert doesn't reject the idea, causing Hahnemann to try to convince Gilbert that he should relax and take some time to enjoy the simpler things in life. Gilbert remarks that he doesn't deserve happiness, and this causes Hahnemann to say something that truly defines Gilbert's entire problem. The only one not permitting Gilbert joy is himself. And that really is the major point. Sure, as the all-seeing eyes of God, and by that I mean the ability to read Wikipedia articles, we know that if he goes to his family or to his king, he would be forgiven. We know they would take him back in a heartbeat. But in Gilbert's eyes, he is unworthy of their good graces. He is a failure, a man unfit to have such pleasures in life. His problems are all against the imaginary Dimitris and Annettes in his head, not the real ones. Starting with Dimitri, let's put together what exactly the real Annette and Dimitri want for Gilbert. The support with Dimitri begins with Dimitri catching up with his old mentor, as Dimitri has already figured out Gilbert's reasons for leaving the kingdom. Dimitri tries to get Gilbert to come back to the kingdom of Fargus, not as Gilbert, Knight of Saros, but as Gustav, Knight of Fargus. Gilbert, as you probably expected, refuses, saying that there is no place left for him in that land. And so Dimitri decides to test him. The next support, Dimitri remarks that, since he too is a man of sin, Gilbert can atone for his sins by ending Dimitri's sad and pathetic life. Gilbert is, as one would imagine, completely caught off guard by this notion, and when the A support comes along, Gilbert cannot bring himself to kill Dimitri. He remarks that, though Dimitri's hands have been stained with regret, blood, and sorrow, he cannot simply give up living. He must live on in spite of everything, for there are those that rely on him and must walk with him. It's not so hard to see that this lesson was meant just as much for Gilbert as it was for Dimitri, and the two walk on as sinners in arms, living the path of redemption together. And while it was Dimitri who taught Gilbert that lesson, Gilbert's not too shabby at giving out advice himself. His supports with Ash begin with Ash, well, being Ash. He's super excited to be around a real knight like Gilbert, and admires him like a puppy. Gilbert sees this as odd, as he finds that the knight's life is far from glamorous, and wonders why the young knight-to-be admires it so much. Why does Ash want to become a knight? What is it that he wants to protect? Ash remarks that he simply wants to protect whatever he can, and Gilbert responds by saying that's not good enough. He needs to find something personal to protect, some dream that belongs to Ash and Ash alone. This leads Gilbert to talk about Lonato's actions. As a father, Gilbert finds he cannot entirely condemn Lonato for raising an army over the injustice to his son. However, at the same time, Gilbert believes that Lonato's priorities weren't quite straight. Rather than fighting to protect the honor of his dead son, he should have been fighting to protect his living son, Ash, and Gilbert believes that he succumbed to that same error in judgment. He was worried about his own honor and the will of the dead King Lambert, rather than his wife and daughter, who he remarks are the people he fights to protect. And lastly, that brings us to his Annette support, or as I like to call it, daddy-daughter therapy time. The support begins with Gilbert attempting to avoid Annette, though this venture is unsuccessful. Turns out changing your name slightly isn't a very good disguise, who'd have thought? Once cornered, Gilbert makes no excuses for his actions. He admits fully that he is a man fallen from grace. Annette tries to get him to face his family, who she remarks still loves him, but he says that he is unable, and he says he will leave Annette's life forever if she wants him to.
Now, for just a quick moment, I'm going to put that Hahnemann line on the screen again, just for a bit. I need you to look at it. Just keep looking at it while I pad out time with this episode here. Okay, we good? Alright, we're good. The B support has Gilbert trying to awkwardly reconnect with Annette, letting him know he's thinking of her by giving her a handmade wooden figurine, as that was something he used to give her when she was a child. While Annette likes the figure, it's clear that it's far from enough to make up for the years of neglect. Gilbert's gesture is unsuccessful. However, he does have one more thing he can give to her.
The A and A Plus support has Gilbert give Annette a huge bag of letters. A huge bag of the love for his family he never sent. For every birthday, every holiday, he wrote to his wife and daughter, as his family was always in his heart. Well, not his brother, but hey, the game didn't give him a face, so he doesn't count. But whenever Gilbert would try to bring himself to send the letters, he found himself unable. He felt it would invalidate his self-imposed torture, and the time caused his guilt to grow, and he couldn't bring himself to send letters because of it, which caused him to just grow more guilty in a never-ending cycle of pain. But Annette tells him that those letters would have been a godsend. She and her mother always waited for some sign, some clue that Gilbert was still thinking of them. The family he thought would spurn him never once hated Gilbert. Though Gilbert never could muster the courage to send his feelings, Annette takes charge and sends the letters to her mother herself. Gilbert's self-imposed misery and exile come to an end, and he, Annette, and his wife become a family once more. And for one more time, I'm just going to put this up there. Like, I'm pretty sure you get the picture by now. I'm pretty sure you understand it, but it's still right there. Let you just soak it in and understand the entire point. Alright. I think I've padded out this video length enough. Let's wrap this up, shall we? All in all, I think Gilbert has an undeserved bad rep in the fandom. Fire Emblem has had a long history of bad person does not mean bad character in its writing, and Gilbert is a strong testament to that. So next time you go on Twitter and make a 27.5 tweet rant about why Edelgard or Dimitri or Rhea are still good characters despite their terrible actions, consider leaving a few tweets for Gilbert too. In my eyes, he's just as worthy of it as they are. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute blast to make these as always. I was a little nervous about making this one because this is the first time I've delved into a Three Houses character and I didn't exactly pick one of the most popular ones to do it. So for those of you that decided to click on a video about Gilbert of all people, thank you very much. If you disagree, that's fine. If you agree, that's also fine. We have opinions here. They're allowed. Follow the page on Twitter and Facebook. We're on both if you want to keep up with all the dumb shit I post. And I will see you guys next time, because for the next character, We're going to take it a little more old school. See you then.
Change the world. My pride